Hi again, welcome back to another video. This is part 6 of the 7 tools of Christmas video series, and in this video we're going to talk about not tools, supplies for the shed. So I've got some stuff collected together on the bench, and I'll show you what I have in my shed so it's there when I need it. So I'll go through sort of order of importance. I'd say it's very important to have disposable gloves. You don't want to get carb cleaner on your hands. You don't want to get petrol on your hands, grease, oil, any more than you have to. So buy some disposable gloves. They actually, unfortunately, since the pandemic, they have gone up quite a lot in prices. You used to be able to buy these for about £7 a pack. I have actually even got them cheaper than that, but now they're well, near on sort of £12-13 a pack. And yeah, they've sort of gone up and haven't come down again. Well, I know we're still in the pandemic at the present time. So yeah, they've gone up, but it's worth. You don't want to get all that muck and petrol and that on your hands. That won't do your health any good, and it's just not nice anyway. So yeah, get yourself some gloves. I tried to keep a couple of boxes in here, but I get through them quite quick. If I'm working on an engine sometimes, you know, if I'm splitting the engine right apart, I get through quite a lot. But yeah, I recommend you wear disposable gloves. The next, I'd say paper towel, the blue roll. I think I've just purchased a new pack of these. I think they're about £18 from Screwfix for 6, but the rolls are quite a lot bigger than this. They do last a long time, and it is handy to have in your shed. It sort of saves on gloves a little bit as well, because you can at least wipe the gloves down with it. So that's handy to have. It seems a basic thing, but you know, you'll find you will use that quite a lot if you've got some in your shed. So what next? Oh yeah, we'll talk about the penetrating oil. I prefer WD-40, and I prefer it in the spray can, even though somewhere on here, even though I have got a 5 litre can with it in the spray like that, but the pressure is so much better in the aerosol cans that I do tend to use it in that. But then again, if I'm breaking a lawnmower or something for spares and it's a bit rusty and that, I'll use that one just to spray it on, because I don't need the sort of force. If you're clean, I know people use this in there to clean out carburetors as well. So you need the pressure. That one wouldn't give you the pressure. So yep, I favour WD-40, but when I haven't been able to get it, because I've bought the little cans from Poundland a lot, the little tiny cans, actually smaller than this can, but I have bought the 3-in-1 oil as well, and to be honest, that isn't bad either. So it all does the job. So we just get them out of the way. Another handy thing to have when you buy a second-hand lawnmower or something, or you've got to repair one or something, sometimes they're really filthy. Old grass stuck on them, oil has all gone down the side of the engine from, you know, where it's been tipped over, and it's just a mess. So though I find this stuff good, engine degreaser, all you have to do is pour a bit in a pot. You want to pour it in the pot, because you don't want to pour it back in if you've got any left. You just want to try and use it all, and then just brush it on the lawnmower, and then let it sit for, I usually let it sit for about 10-15 minutes, then sort of hose it off. Even better if you can pressure wash it off, and then yeah, that seems to eat through a lot of it, the grime and sort of oil and grease and that all over the engines. So yeah, I rate that. It works quite well, and it's a good name. It's Gunk. You know, everybody's always said if you want to clean your engine down, you use Gunk. Well, in the UK, I'm not sure in other countries, but in the UK, everybody for years I've heard use Gunk. So yep, that's I think that's about £10-12 a 5 litre can. It lasts me quite a long time. Another thing, what I do is oil. You need to, if you're repairing lawnmowers and fixing them up and that, you're gonna be giving them a service. So you're going to need oil. This isn't the oil I use at all. It's just a can, an old can, and I buy the oil in a 20 litre can. So then I just pour out into these little litre ones. Save having the big can around all the time, and save having to keep pouring out. I like the cans like that because they've got the measurements on the side. A lot of lawn mowers take around half a litre, just over half a litre, so you can sort of see where you are. So that's what I do. Yeah, just buy it in. Usually costs just done, well, around £45 last time I bought one. £45 for 20 litres of SAE 30, I think it is, lawnmower oil. And yeah, that's how I buy that. So let's just put that out of the way. So what are we on to next? Oh yeah, that I mentioned the WD-40 for cleaning the carbs out. Well, I personally generally use carb cleaner, and this is the stuff I'm using at the moment. Only reason I'm using this brand at the moment is because when I had to do a job on my van, I bought a pack of 12 of these, so I'm getting through them. I don't like this brand as good as I do. I think it's STP, and that is nicer to use. It doesn't smell so strong, and if you do get any on your hand, I find that doesn't sting. So, doesn't sting so much on your hand. This does sort of sting a bit, this one, and actually the pressure of the can is quite fierce. I got a speck in my eye the other week, and yeah, it did sting. Because the pressure was so much in this can. So it did the job, and it's cheap. It is cheap, the Rockwood stuff. So yeah, that's what I use to clean the carbs out, usually a carburetor cleaner. But if you're using it, make sure your rubber ring in there, that between the bowl and the carb, is out, because this will expand them. And yeah, when they expand, you won't be able to get them back in, because they'll go obviously longer, so they won't go back in. Yeah, like the rubber O-ring between the bowl and the carb. So just bear that in mind. So another thing, if you're going to repair stuff, you might repair trimmers or hedge cutters, and you're going to need to run them afterwards to check you've done the fix. You fixed them up. So a bottle of two-stroke oil. This is, I don't actually use this for my own work tools. I use the Steel brand for my own work tools, but I've had this a long time, and anything I fix to sell, I just use this stuff, mix it up for the shed. So yeah, you're gonna need some two-stroke oil to mix up the fuel for them if they're two-stroke. So yeah, so handy to have under the bench when you need it, because you'll go to do it and you think, oh, I haven't got the two-stroke oil. So you'll have to go down the road or whatever. So yeah, it's good to have that under the bench. Where are we going now? Fuel pipe. This is just an example of some fuel pipe. You can get it in all different sizes, and you've actually got the trimmer ones as well. See if I can just show you that. Yeah, this fuel line is always handy to have in stock. You could buy it in sort of metre lengths off of eBay, and that comes in a red, a blue, and the yellow. Generally I use a yellow. I find most stuff uses a yellow. So yeah, so it's worth getting a few meters of that. I think I put last time, probably bought 5 meters of each. So yeah, I've got well, a bit of that left. But for like on the Briggs & Stratton Quantums, it would be this sort of fuel line on it, and then Honda's sometimes thinner than this. But yeah, it's just an example. You need some fuel line usually, especially on trimmers and that, because usually the fuel lines have got a bit poor when they've got a bit, you know, when the machine's aged a bit. So yeah, keep some fuel line. These are always handy, and these are handy for more than just repairing lawnmowers and that, but I've used them a lot on lawnmowers. Cable ties. I've got some various different sizes, but generally I find to hold cables in places and that, these just sort of size. But you can get them in, I've got some packs I think somewhere which just got an assortment of different sizes. So cable ties I think is a must. Cable ties is such a brilliant design, invention. I mean, it's brilliant. They've got me out of a muddle many times. So yeah, always have some cable ties in the drawer. I always keep, and I've just restocked up on them, nuts and bolts. The two sizes I keep are M6, an M6 nut, and where are we? M8 as well, and obviously an M8 nut, which I haven't got one with me at the moment. But these will work in the handles sometimes. If you haven't got the proper handle turn things or whatever, you can just go nut and bolt if you haven't got to put the handle down, and these are the size for that. The other ones, the M6s, will sort of hold things like the cable holders on the handles and that. They will hold that in. So they're so cheap. Well, I say so cheap. They're reasonably sort of, yeah, for what you get, they are cheap from Screwfix. And yeah, some M6 and M8. I always have them in the drawer, so I know I can just go there and get them rather than looking through for old nuts and bolts and all that in the drawers of my. I've got many drawers of nuts and bolts, but it's so nice going and be able to grab a new one and then a new nut. It just saves so much time. So I recommend getting some of them. Grease. We'll talk about grease now. I've got a few different types of grease, but this is one I would always have under the bench, just multi-purpose grease in the tub. It's just a sort of yellowy colour stuff. Yeah, I always have that in because when you're messing around with drives and that and putting wheels and all that back on, just put a bit around the cogs and all that. That's what I do. And this is much the same, but this is in the tube form, and you screw that on the like the steel hedge cutters and that. It just screws straight into the hole. What you undo to check to sort of check it on the head really, and then you just screw that on and you can pump it directly in. Or you can use a grease gun like I showed on my other video. Like that. It's a cheaper way of doing it. Fill that up with that grease and then pump that in because you've got the point on there. And it's cheaper than buying them because they are not cheap, and you don't. 80 grams in there. What we got in there? 500 grams in there. And I shouldn't think there's much different in price of each. I just think they're about the same price, and you get so much more. And they say this especially for steel, but I just think I think it's just multi-purpose stuff in this. I don't think it's anything special. I might be wrong, but I've used normal grease as well in gearboxes on hedge cutters and that, and I found it to be fine. So you've got to try and save where you can, especially if you're repairing them. You don't want to be going through loads of these. I think these are about £6.50 each of these. I bought them before for convenience. So where are we now? We'll go through a few sort of supplies for lawnmowers. There's a couple of examples of spark plug there. I think they're the Honda ones, the NGK. I'm not sure if they could be the Briggs & Stratton ones, the torch ones. A lot of people don't like the torch ones. I find them fine. I've had them in my work lawnmowers. Some of them have been in my work lawnmowers for 2 years and running fine. But some people don't rate them, so but I do. I think they're all right. But the NGK, they come up on a deal that was so cheap on eBay once. I think they priced them wrong, and so I bought some for the Hondas. But currently, I think my Hondas have got them in. They've got the torch in. But yeah, either or Champion. I don't think I've never really found much difference, to be fair. But yeah, spark plugs, and I'm running a bit low of them actually, so I need to get some ordered soon. Couple of examples of air filters. You'll probably, if you've worked on mowers, you'll probably recognise these for the Briggs & Stratton classic engines. If you're prepared to wait a little while and you order them from China, they are really cheap. And yeah, you can get a pack of 10 really cheap. Forget offhand how much they are, but they are cheap. Same with these ones. They fit the Quantums and they fit the Hondas, the Honda GCV engines as well, so they fit both. So same packs of 10, and if you can wait from them from China, I don't even think they're too expensive. If you buy them from in the UK, if you look around, you can get packs of 10 reasonably cheap. I try not to pay much each for filters because if I'm selling a lawnmower, I want to try and keep the costs of repairing it down. But then again, I use them in my own HRX 537s. I use them ones. They're fine. I find them fine. So put them over there. Recall rope. This is another thing. A lot of tools you might pick up will have a broken pull cord on trimmers and on lawnmowers and hedge cutters and blowers, whatever. And they are different sizes. This one is the 2.8. It's quite a small one. I think I've got it up to 4mm. I've got 4 different rolls of this, so if you can try to get about 4 different rolls, 3 or 4 different rolls, you'll probably get away with a thin one and about 3.5 actually. You probably get away with that because yeah, they're the main two I use. I think I hold a thicker one for something else once, just for a bigger machine. And this comes in 100 meters, so you can buy a couple of rolls of this. It's gonna, like, unless you're getting so many lawnmowers done, getting out about 10 out a week or something, and you fitted all new recoil ropes, you will. This will last you a good while. So it's not very expensive either. I think last time I bought them, they were about £12 a roll. So I think that's a bargain. So we've got that done. Let's talk about the painting side of things. Some of you will get a scruffy mower, and you'll want to make them look nicer. So you'll need spray paint to do that, because they'll have rusty spots on them or whatever. You'll either do the whole respray of the whole mower, or you'll just sort of touch up areas. Obviously you'll need some sandpaper or some sort of wheel on the drill or something. That's an example, just to sort of clean off the rust. So yeah, sandpaper. I sort of have some different grades, and sometimes I buy the ones for the sanders, the DA sanders, and I just use them as just hand sandpaper rather than buy the roll. But I find this one quite good. I don't buy much from Halfords, but I don't think that's too expensive, and I find it lasts quite well. So yeah, I usually buy that one. I think it's about £6 odd for that. I have tried buying some cheaper stuff, sort of similar. That's 80 days, 80 grit. I have tried buying similar off of eBay, and it wasn't so good. It ripped a lot more. So I usually do buy that from Halfords, obviously. So yeah, we've got that, and then you've got some paint. Just an example. Got some red oxide primer there in a spray. Got some cheap Poundland primer. Where are we? Grey primer. I have used their black paint as well. They're matte black. I've got an example up here, I think. Yeah, some gloss black. I use that quite a lot. When I can pick this up £1 a tin, I use this quite a lot if I'm painting handlebars. I find it usually takes one to paint handlebars, and I don't generally worry about undercoating it too much, priming it too much on handlebars if I'm selling the mower, and I'm just give it a good sand down, and on a nice warm day, this couple of coats of this makes them look lovely, and it only cost you £1. So yeah, I quite rate that paint, to be honest. But it is for only 300 millilitres, when these ones, for example, there are 4, I believe. Yeah. Actually, we won't go to that one first. We'll go to that one first. To paint lawnmower decks, you have to think about the petrol. If petrol's spilt, you need petrol resistant paint, and I use this. It says petrol resistant. It is matte black, but what I do is use that first, and then go over with the petrol resistant lacquer, so that gives it the shine. And you can see protection oil and petrol, so them two together should be okay on there if you drop petrol on your nicely painted lawnmower deck. So get them out of the way. If you delve further into lawnmower engines and you're going to take them apart, or strimmer engines or hedge cutter engines or whatever, you'll come across you might need a sealant to stick it back together, because the casings don't have a gasket, they just have a sealant, like gasket maker stuff. I use this. This is actually a thing. I looked what's still sort of recommended, and it was this stuff. Here is an open tube there, and I use that to seal the two engine casings back together. I find that good stuff. If the machine has a gasket, I don't use that then, because that I use if it just hasn't got a gasket at all and it's not meant to have one. But if it's meant to have a gasket, I use this stuff. I'll show you in the box. Hylamar blue, and I just put a smear of that over the gasket each side. It helps stick the gasket on as well, to hold it in position, and I find it brilliant stuff. When I helped my dad years ago, like when I did a water pump on a car or whatever, when I put the gasket on, I always use this stuff, and I found it good. And yeah, I don't think it's silly expensive, not really cheap, but it lasts quite a long time. So yeah, I rate that stuff. So that's what I use. And there is also this you can get as well. It's in a nice little pump tube. You haven't got to put like a gun on it or anything. You sort of pumps itself from there, and that's black gasket maker. I probably prefer that stuff than that. Basically, well, it does the same job. I prefer that. But yeah, I've used that and it is okay. So what we've got left on here, we've got a couple of things. I'll go to this first. If you're repairing a lawnmower, and you'll probably see, or any sort of small engine, you'll probably see a lot of the time, if they're old, the exhaust looks horrible, it looks rusty and everything, but it's solid. You know, you can carry on using the exhaust, but you want it to look nicer if you've cleaned up the engine out. Well, heat resistant spray paint, it comes, this one comes from Screwfix, I think this one comes from, and yeah, it's black. You can get silver as well, and yeah, it just smartens up a horrible looking exhaust and makes it look pretty good again. You know, sand it down, give it a spray with this, and it's heat resistant up to 600 degrees Celsius. So yeah, exhaust has got to get pretty hot for that to be burning off. So yeah, it's always handy to have that, especially if you're painting the mowers up. You want to make the exhaust look nice. And the last thing is that I use tire foam. I'll tell you what I use tire foam for. A lot of people, when they shine up a lawnmower or whatever, if it's okay, you know, they haven't painted it or anything, to shine up the plastic or whatever, they use, they might spray a bit WD-40 on it or something, but I use this stuff. It's really good on tyres because it's called tire foam, so you would expect it to be. But I spray this all over the lawnmower back flap and over the engine, the plastics on the engine and the wheels, and it brings it up really nice. I actually spray it on, let it sit on there a little while, and then just sort of buff it off a little bit, and it gives a nice shine. So when someone comes and look at the mower, it's got a really nice sort of shine to it. So yeah, that's how I make them sort of look nice at the end. Yeah, that's about it. There is stuff what I haven't put on here. This was just an example. I couldn't remember everything I use all the time because you know, there's a lot, but this is the majority of what I sort of try to keep in the shed at all times for when I need it, so I'm not stuck. So yeah, some isn't as vital as other. Like if you're not going to paint them up, you wouldn't need the paint or whatever, but there's certain things you really do need in on your shelves or in your drawers, so you've got it when you need it. You could sort of add some tapes to it as well, like masking tape, insulation tape, and you know, if you sort of got to tidy up some cables or whatever, or paint obviously with the masking tape and things like that. But yeah, this was just an example of a lot of the things you could need and do need, some of them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this this part, and we've got, yeah, just one more part to go. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll be along with another video again very soon, like tomorrow. So yeah, see you later.